Time to tune in. Now another sports center. It's a movement.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith. Got my two hosts in the house with me here today, Mr. Mike Williams and Adrian Campbell. What's going on, fellas?
Fantastic, man. Good to be here, bro.
Yeah, man. We living.
Absolutely. Great to have you guys here today with us. And today we are going to talk about the very controversial NFC East. Now, last year, it was like each team was handed a butter knife and said, hey, go kill each other slowly. But this year, each team did get a little bit better, at least so we think. I would say at least 2 to 3 of these teams in this division got a lot better. So we're going to touch upon it. Each team, if you're a Giants fan, Washington football team, Cowboys, or even the Philadelphia Eagles, any of those teams, each team is going to get a prediction by each and every one of us. Each of us will spend anywhere between 1 to 4 minutes talking about what our predictions are going to be, and we'll go from there. Now, first team that we are going to take and talk about here today is going to take and be none other than the beloved Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles today. Look at those beautiful fans. If you're watching on Spotify, go on YouTube. We got a lot of fun pictures here. But yeah, we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles today. I'll go ahead and I'll kick this one off. They're in a really interesting state. They got a brand new coach. Before this year, they weren't sure who their quarterback was going to be. It seems that Jalen Hurts, he pretty much got the job. And I like Jalen Hurts, by the way. I'm a Jalen Hurts believer. The pieces around him, I'm just not quite sure. I like some of their running backs. I like that they got Devontae Smith in the draft. They had a pretty good draft. You know what I mean? 2 guys who I had on the show, Kerry Angeline, who just got signed within the last 24 hours, possibly to replace Zach Ertz. As a tight end, 6'7", he'd be a major weapon. And of course, I got my guy Marlon Tuipulotu, who's also been on the show. Check out those interviews. But for the Eagles, man, it's not too pretty what I have them as. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm looking at the difficulty of the schedule, and the NFC is a lot more competitive than it was last year, especially in this division as well too. That being said, I have the Eagles maxing out at a total of 6 wins. But I do believe that it's going to be carried by Jalen Hurts. I believe we're going to see a lot of heroic acts. Do not hate the Eagles. I compared to the moves that the Cowboys made, comparing the moves that the Washington football team made, the type of draft that the Giants have. That's me being generous. Got them at 6 wins and a total of 11 losses. Mr. Mike Williams, what do you have the Philadelphia Eagles going as?
Yeah, man, this was another team, like we talk about, they were in cap hell going to the offseason. The thing I think is going to be the biggest factor outside of that is their coach, Nick Sirianni. If you saw that press conference, my sister's an Eagles fan, my best friend's an Eagles fan. I sent that to them, and I said, y'all are in trouble, right? I just don't think he's going to be a guy that inspires people. I don't know. I mean, never really heard of him until I saw that press conference, but I think that didn't inspire confidence in me. And Soup said before, if he was a player on that team, we would call his agent, like, get me out of here, right? So I'm saying all that to say they add Devontae Smith, I think was a phenomenal move, getting Landon Dickerson. He'll be an anchor in the middle of that offensive line for a decade plus. You're right, our guy Marlon from USC, I think he's going to come in. I think he will take some time to develop because D tackle does take some time, but he gets to learn from one of the best, Fletcher Cox. So I think that'll be helpful. And then free agency, man, I think signing Anthony Harris for $4 million was a coup, but they lost a lot more than they gained. You know, losing Malik Jackson, Jalen Mills, I think those are going to be Jonathan Ford. Those are going to be moves that hurt them. So I have them going 4-13, and mainly because of the coaching staff, man. I think this could be a situation where he performs like that with how his press conferences, and I don't know how he interacts with the team and the players, but he could be out of there his first year, and that doesn't happen often. But he has not said, I have not heard an interview that inspires confidence in me as an NFL fan. And if I was an Eagles fan, I know y'all are a rough fan base. We love you guys, but I don't think I'd be that confident either.
Oh, okay. Love it. Love it. Adrian Campbell, what you got for the Philadelphia Eagles?
Nothing good, Doug. I could tell you that. And my younger brother is an Eagles fan, and you want to talk about a man who has given up hope. He's boycotting the NFL, but he's not trying to. His team is just going to be that bad. I got the Eagles going 1-16, man. I do not see a spot on this schedule where they can really like start to get into a groove. Jalen Hurts, I think, in college, both the Alabama version of him and the Oklahoma version of him, I thought they were very serviceable quarterbacks. But I just think that he has a lot to overcome being in this organization. The front office is an absolute mess all the way up to the general manager. Mike touched on it. The head coach, Nick Sirianni, we don't know what we're going to get. And here's the thing, right? Nick Sirianni could come and shock us all and be the next big thing in football. I'm not going to hold my breath for that one, because anybody who has the press conference that he has and says the things that he says, and here's the thing, it's not like they just pulled him off the practice field and it was like, hey, coach, why don't you come and give us, bro, you got selected for the job. You knew you were going to have to make an introductory conference. You had time to prepare a speech and do stuff. And this is the stuff that you can't, man, I wish we could play a soundbite of it, but it is the most insane, uninspiring thing I've ever heard from any head football coach. And I know people are yelling at me right now well, did you hear Dan Campbell? Well, at least Dan Campbell, if you don't know anything else about Dan Campbell, you know that he's going to coach that team to fight. Nick Sirianni seemed confused, man. He seemed confused. He said the first step in having a plan is knowing what to do. And I said, what? And my thing, he said it with his chest too, he was really saying something. And then he said, "Less thinking equals talent take over." And I'm like, well, I don't know what roster you're looking at, man. This is not a team where talent going to take over. It maybe if it was Tampa or something, but this is not the roster for that. There are deficiencies all over the place. They got hit really bad by the injury bug last year, especially along their offensive line. And, man, I just this is not a team that inspires a lot of confidence going forward. I love the draft pick of Devontae Smith. I think pairing him with Jalen Hurts, I think that's probably the best move that they could have made. But, is Miles Sanders going to be is he going to be the running back that they need? They already cut Kerryon Johnson today, which is, concerning considering that guy has so much promise initially. And now just who knows what's going to happen with him. And then, Landon Dickerson, I agree with you, Mike. I really like the pick. He's going to be a guy that's going to be able to anchor that line for years to come. Obviously, Travis Kelce is going to be the guy that they're not Travis, the other one, the other Kelce brother is going to be the one that's going to be, getting the start there, getting some burn if he can stay healthy. But he's not a bad person to learn behind. Like I said, this defense is suspect outside of Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. I don't really see a whole lot of things to be excited about. This schedule is going to be brutal for them this year. I mean, let me pull their stuff real quick. Sure, they kick off the season against Atlanta, and as bad as Atlanta is, they are the worst bird team. The Eagles by far are the worst bird mascotted team, and they're going straight from them into the San Francisco 49ers, who are extremely well coached on both sides of the ball, even when injured, completely dangerous. Then they're going into the Cowboys, and regardless of how you feel about the Cowboys, there's talent all over their roster. Then they're going to go play Kansas City, who it's Patrick Mahomes. What else do you want? Andy Reid continues to prove every year that he's in Kansas City that the Eagles made an absolute mistake ever letting that man get out the door. So like I said, it's just rough sledding. It's a combination of this roster just being in shambles, the front office being in shambles, and the schedule just being way too tough for them to overcome. 1-16.
Dang. Okay. All right. Yeah, it's rough, and it sucks because I feel like a majority of my friends are Eagles fans. You know what I mean? It's just one of them years you gotta go through it. You gotta have all the nastiness exposed, and hopefully you could learn from it. Hopefully you could grow from it and become a better organization. You know what I mean? A lot of teams even the Browns are on the way to the promised land. You know what I mean? So there's hope. It's just. It seems that after that Super Bowl victory, they just kind of been on the decline, and this year might be a huge wake-up call. Though they do have a few ballers on the team, as you mentioned, Graham and stuff like that.
I don't think we've seen this kind of fall from grace from a Super Bowl winning team Like, I don't think in the history of the NFL, I mean, normally it's, you know, a pretty gradual decline, but man, I mean, like they fell off a cliff. And you know, Doug, you keep saying that there's hope. I don't know how much hope there is from a head coach that makes his drafting decisions by playing rock, paper, scissors over Zoom with prospects.
No, I hear you. Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm a Jalen, as I mentioned before I get my pick. Jalen Hurts is the best part of this team, and I'm a Jalen Hurts believer. He's probably one of the few people who's very excited and happy to be a Philadelphia Eagle, man. Not only that, you know, you team him up with his old receiver, Devontae Smith. They're going to make some noise. There's going to be something there. You know, you got Landon Dickerson as well, too. That O-line did get better. The running game, you know, hey, it's probably be very similar to how it was last year. So they'll be able to steal a few victories, but this is contingent on Jalen Hurts taking in. And it's not just going to be him throwing. You can expect him getting, you know, wheeling and dealing, you know, getting a lot of yards on his legs and stuff like that. So with his legs, excuse me. But again, 6 wins, I don't have it any higher than that. Could be as low as 3 or 4 wins, but it's a bit rough here.
I can't wait to buy Nick Sirianni's book about his time coaching the Philadelphia Eagles. I really enjoyed Doug Peterson's.
It's gonna be 4 pages.
Talent takeover.
Hey, what would the
Nick Sirianni story?
Before we go into the Giants, what is it gonna say? To write a book, you must grab a pen and learn. Something, I don't know.
To write a book first, you must have the paper.
All right, next. Sorry, y'all, cracking up. New York Giants. I'm gonna go ahead and kick this one off here, y'all. New York Giants. I like what they did in the draft. I'd like for them to. They didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the O-line. Joe Looney just took him retired after that massive brawl. Needless to say, I do somehow, some sick, demented way, they might be heading in the right direction or not. At one point, it's like, hey, you have one of the best running backs in all of football coming back from an injury. And then you have Danny Dimes, who, you know, you see him do an 80-yard run and then, you know, randomly fall, get tackled by Casper the Friendly Ghost. And then he'll throw these amazing passes, and then he just can't hold on to the daggone ball. You know what I mean? There's turnover issues there, you know. So I see glimpses of something there, but you can expect potentially the last year for Danny Dimes. But I mean, they got the defense is going to get a lot better. They got Azeez Ojulari, who is, you know, he was predicted maybe he fell all the way down to 2nd round, but he's expected to take and go in the 1st round. You know, coming out of UGA, one of the fiercest DNs in all of college football. But that being said, with the Giants, I'm gonna give my prediction, but I want to leave a little bit of hope here. There was a big fight recently, and sometimes in order to take and move forward, you need to go through the nasty. You need to embrace the suck. And you got Coach Judge out there. He is running them boys into the dirt. He's changing the culture of the team. He's totally changing the culture of the team. And I do believe there's better days for the New York Giants, but this year, I'm just not sure of it. That being said, I do have the Giants taken and going with 8 victories. I have them going with 8 wins. Their defense got a lot better. They still have a few good offensive weapons. But ultimately, I got them going, 8-9. That's what I have them going for this upcoming NFL season. Mr. Mike Williams, what do you got the Giants going as?
Yeah, man, I'm pretty close to you. I have them going 7-10. I think they got improved in a few areas, like signing Kenny Galladay. I don't know how Detroit let him leave. I definitely like them drafting Kadarius Toney, but I think he's out for the year. I think he got some major injury. He's out for a while, so we'll have to wait for him. But Azeez Ojulari, Aaron Robinson, Ellerson Smith, like they and then Rodarius Williams in the 6th round. I think they didn't have a lot of picks, but they made the most of the picks they did have. And again, they dropped a gang of money in free agency, man. I mean, Adoree Jackson, Kyle Rudolph. I think that's going to be helpful. Kyle Rudolph and Ingram. That's going to be very dangerous for teams that have to try to cover, in addition to Kenny Galladay on the outside. So, and John Ross, I mean, worst case scenario, he's going to be a great returner for them. Best case, he maybe starts to piece together how to play receiver a little bit. But I do think losing Dalvin Tomlinson is a little bit of an underrated loss for them. Some people are going to be like, oh, you know, whatever, you know, I don't think it's that big. I think it's a big deal. That was a big run, stop, and piece for them. And I think that's going to be – they didn't do anything really to replace that. So I have them going 7-10. I think they're going to be moving in a good direction. I think if Danny Dimes really hits his potential, cuts down on turnovers, they could win upwards of 9 or 10 games. But until he does it, it's going to be a little bit hard to – he hasn't inspired confidence. And again, like we've seen this mess, man, where they're fighting, and fights happen, right? But you're fighting your own team, and then he put them on the line. Like, you think about how mad you had to be to line up your whole team, kickers, punters, long snappers, everybody, lineman, quarterback. Danny Dimes at the bottom of a pile in the middle of a fight, bro. You don't want to start off a season like that. And I know they'll be disciplined by the time the season comes around. The locker room will pull it together, but having 3 players retire, within a 24 hours of that are veteran leaders that would help out, I think is a little bit troubling, but I still think they'll figure something out. They'll win some games. They're going to be a tough team. I do have them going 7-10.
Love it. Adrian, what you got them going as?
Giants, I got you guys going 6-11. I mean, I feel like we're all right around in the same spot. The big thing the 2 big factors for this team are going to be, what does Saquon Barkley look like coming back? Are we going to get remotely close to the Saquon that we were so enamored with coming out of college? I have a hard time believing like that he's just going to be there. Now, physically, I mean, he just looks like, I don't understand how this man's quads continue to get bigger every season. I just like, it's enough already. All right, we get it. Okay, we get it. You do the leg workout day. Okay, we got that. I hope all of the work that he's been doing translates back onto the field. I hope he's able to stay healthy on the field, because if he is, this is a completely different team and it's a completely different offense that's going to be balanced for the first time since he's gone down with the injury. I do like the addition of Kenny Golladay. Don't know how the Lions let him get out, but this is another player that was injured. So what are we going to get there? Daniel Jones. I think we all feel the same way. This is a prove it year for Daniel Jones, because I do not believe that the Giants front office is ready to bail on Joe Judge. I think they like him in the building, despite, some of the more disturbing reports of these veteran leaders retiring post-fight. That just tells me that maybe he's doing some stuff that, you're talking about some old grizzled vets in the league. They're just like, hey, that's for these young guys. I'm not dealing with it. Maybe that's what it is. Or maybe Joe Judge is like slowly coming undone. I guess we'll find out more as the season goes along. And we'll see, what that locker room looks like going forward. But if Daniel Jones can cut down on the turnovers, like we said, and if he can, be the quarterback that we've seen glimpses of him be, this could be a very dangerous Giants team. I do like the Kadarius Toney pick. Like Mike said, it's going to be a while before we see him, but I think once we do get him in there, I think he's going to be a boon to that receiver room. I like Azeez Ojulari. I think he's going to help, shore up that defense. I think they're going to play him at linebacker. So I really like that. The Rodarius Williams pick, even the Aaron Robinson pick. I mean, these guys out of UCF or out of Central Florida, like they are like sneaky good. All their DBs are sneaky good. They may not, light up the draft boards, but these guys know how to play ball. And then Leonard Williams got his money, and he demonstrated that he was worth the money. So I expect him, to have another good season. I just think this is a strength of schedule issue, and all their pieces just too many questions around these dynamic players that I can't award them possibly more than these 6 wins. It's another rebuilding year, but I think we'll learn a lot about the Giants, and we'll get a lot of information about what they're going to be doing with the future from this season. And a lot of that is going to be around Daniel Jones. So 6-11.
I love it. Next team that we got here is going to be the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. Now, with the Dallas Cowboys, I'll kick this one off for predictions. They're going to be a much better team, I believe. I'm even predicting Dak Prescott to get the comeback player of the year. Zeke needs to have a really big year this year as well, too. I'm expecting that as well, too. I don't like to do predictions based off of hopes and, this is contingent. After 2 or 3 contingents, now you're just being biased. But I have nothing to be biased about. Dallas was absolutely trash last year. But what's crazy is that with the Dallas Cowboys, they have top 3, top 5 best wide receiver room in the whole NFL. I just want to see that O-line get better. I'm very concerned about the O-line. I don't want to see Dak back there getting smacked around and stuff like that. But I'll say this. I'll go on a limb. I have the Dallas Cowboys going 10-7 and making the playoffs. Mr. Adrian Campbell, what do you got the Dallas Cowboys going at?
Well, I never voted for them to be America's team, and I'm not going to start right now. Dallas Cowboys are going to continue their 8-8. Oh, wait a minute. They can't do 8-8 anymore. So they're going to go 8-9. So instead of going 500, they're going to go below 500. And they're going to continue the trend that they have been on since their last Super Bowl appearance in the mid-90s when I was still watching Power Rangers and Pokemon on Saturday, okay? And here's the thing, it's mind-boggling how this team doesn't win more games. You look at this roster, and it is stacked all over the place. Offensively, it is an embarrassment of riches. You talked about that wide receiver room, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, CeeDee Lamb, who is I don't even understand how they let CeeDee Lamb go to the Cowboys. I don't understand it at all. Ezekiel Elliott should be a good back. And I mean, he's good enough, right? But let's be honest, he has not been that guy since he got his money, which is about par for course for some of these guys. Dak Prescott, I think, has done more than what most people expected from him coming out of the draft. And he's consistently been, I would say a good two great quarterback. But he's coming off of that injury. He already, had a little bump and bruise already early. He says he's going to be 100%, but we'll see what happens when it's at 100% game speed. Either way, they're locked into him. They gave him that big contract, which, don't get me wrong, I think the man earned his money. But I think it's just a dangerous move, all things considered, to pay him that much money, especially coming off the injury that he had last season. I wish him well, personally, that I hope he's able to come back healthy. But I have no faith in this team. For some reason, they can't put the talent together. And I like the draft picks that they went and got. Micah Parsons is an absolute monster. It's another person that I'm like, how do you guys let him, how do you let him go? How do you let him go to Dallas? And then, Jabril Cox just kept falling. Not Jabril Cox. What's my
Jabril Cox.
Jabril Cox. Yeah, Jabril Cox just kept falling and falling and falling. And then the Cowboys eventually circled around and picked him up too. Zach Martin has been one of the premier offensive linemen in this league for a long time, but I think we can all agree that his level of play, unfortunately, is starting to deteriorate. And I'm not saying that he's awful. I'm just saying he's not the Zach Martin of old. And I think that's a problem for their run game. That's a problem for keeping, Dak Prescott upright. And Mike McCarthy, there's a reason why he lost his job in Green Bay. And I have no reason to believe that he has new tricks up his sleeve this year, just like he fooled Jerry Jones into thinking that he had, found out, some magical new way to run offense. And that's ultimately what won him the job, because he's done a lot of tape and film study. I'm like, buddy, there's a lot of guys in this league that do a lot of tape and film study. They're called scouts. There's a reason that they're not head coaches. I don't have a lot of faith in Mike McCarthy. I think he absolutely swindled Jerry Jones and got the bag. I think he should have gone the way of Jeff Fisher and been out of this league, because I just think that he is a coach from a bygone era, and I don't think his philosophies translates into how the league is this year. And because of that, I think he's going to hold the talent on his team back. I think that locker room is going to be in chaos like it has been the last few seasons, below 500 because of the 17th game. If not, you guys would be in for another 8-8, but we've got an extra game this season, so 8-9.
Woo! Man, hot take. Okay. A little different from mine, but I love it. Mike Williams, will you go my way, Adrian's way, or somewhere in the middle? What you got?
Actually, I'm in the middle, man. I got them going 9-8. That's what I had written down, man. But I think this is my main concerns. Let me start off with this, right? So you're right. Tyron Smith is back. Zach Martin's back. Now, seeing those two play in this last preseason game, get their feet under them in the preseason game is phenomenal, right? And I think for them that bodes well. They drafted, I forgot the center they drafted last year, but he has another year under his belt. I think they'll be okay, right? I think that team, that line, Lyle Collins they still have, I think that offensive line, barring health, will be okay. What you don't want is your quarterback who got all this money, his first game is going to be against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 1. They're saying he's not going to play in the preseason. He hasn't played for a while. He has this mysterious shoulder thing that he has second MRI on. And his first game back is against a reigning defending undisputed NFL champions, that's not setting him up for success, in my opinion. Now, again, their offense is going to be electric. I think they have the potential to have a top 5, top six offense. Their defense was historically bad last year. They had one of the top 20 worst defenses in NFL history. Statistically, it's not an opinion, it's a fact. I think bringing Dan Quinn over as a defensive coordinator, I think he'll get them to average. Like he had those Seattle defenses elite. I think he can bring them to average. The thing that does, again, make me question a little bit, bringing in Keanu Neal, and now they moved him to linebacker. You got Micah Parsons at linebacker. You got Leighton Vander Esch at linebacker. You got Jabril Cox at linebacker. How many linebackers do you need? You got to have somebody to play in the secondary. They lost Chidobe Awuzie. They lost Jordan Lewis, and they lost Xavier Woods in the offseason, right? And I don't think they did enough to replace them, except for Kelvin Joseph out of Kentucky, 6'2" corner. I think he's going to fit that system very well. You know, they run that cover 3 that Seattle traditionally ran. Michael Parsons, I think, is going to ball out. But with that being said, man, I think they're going to have a lot of growing pains with people coming off of injuries at key positions and a lot of young players at key positions. The arrow should be shooting up. If you look at their offensive roster, man, they should be winning this division easily. But I think there's just something. Mike McCarthy, you think about this. He coached Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and won one Super Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. So you had 2 of the top 15 quarterbacks in NFL history and won 1 Super Bowl. That's not a proven winner in the postseason. That's what it counts. And if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan and the whole saying is, "Hey, this is my year, this is my year," I get it. But you gotta think about not just being happy about making the playoffs. You got to be happy about going to the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl. And they're so far away from that, it's not even funny. And I don't think they have a proven winner, at coach. So, hope that they do stay healthy again. I don't want to see anybody, no matter how much I hate the teams, I don't want to see anybody not be healthy. So if they stay healthy, I think they'll go 9, 10 wins. But they have a lot of issues. I think a lot of red flags that show that might not happen.
Well, Mike, you said it, man. When you're looking at this roster, this team should be arrow up. But I think we could say that about this Cowboys team for arguably the last 4 or 5 years. Like, it should be arrow up. But for some reason, this team cannot figure out how to get above it. Like, they're stuck. It's Jeff Fisher curse. It's the 8-8, the 7-9s. Like this team absolutely should be arrow up. And for the record, I am not a Cowboys fan by any stretch of the imagination. Y'all will never, ever convert me to a Cowboys fan, ever. I would rather die. But, like, the talent is undeniable. I enjoy football. I respect talent. This team has a lot of it. And it just, like I said, it is a mystery as to what's going on with this team and how come they can't put it together. I don't know what they need to do. Maybe hire, the Mystery Inc. gang and Scooby-Doo and Shaggy to come and figure out what the hell is going on over there. But, like I said, it's a mess. They should be a lot better than they are. On a personal note, I'm glad they're not.
That moves us to the final team of the division, Washington football team, asterisk, because they're going to be changing they one more season of having this name.
Red Wolves, the future Red Wolves.
I love it. Hey, Red Wolves all the way. Washington Red Wolves.
DC Defenders of the DC Sentinels. We'll see what happens.
Should be interesting. I know it was the Red Tails, I think, was another one, I believe.
I like that one.
Oh yeah.
Just keep the Washington football team. It took us a whole year to figure it out.
Now I'm like used to
use the other one. Now you got to make me learn another. I feel like this is cruel and unusual punishment.
All right, so we're gonna get into the Washington football team. I'll go ahead. I'll kick this one off. Man, that defense, Chase Young. Look, I just want to talk about this young man. I'm gonna give my prediction here in just a second. But for Chase Young, man, I'm expecting him to potentially get like 17 plus sacks this year. He's going to go off. That defense is so freaking stacked. And they only got better this offseason. Free agency, they got better. The NFL draft, they got better. Not only that, you signed please forgive me, I'm saying his name wrong. Heineke.
Heineke.
Yeah, he's back for another year, right? And then on top of that, you get Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's coming off a very strong season playing with the Miami Dolphins. I'll touch up on that here in a second. But for this team, they almost beat the Super Bowl champs in the playoffs. They literally almost beat them in the wild card for the NFC, right? And they only got better, right? Now, I do have a few questions because, hey, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? Or Ryan Fitztragic. Which one are you going to get? here's the thing. He's going to make mistakes. We've seen this guy long enough that we kind of know what we're getting, but he definitely has a very, very good wide receiver core. Okay. But not to mention, from when he makes those mistakes, he has a defense that's going to be able to bail him out of trouble. I mean, this defense, you got Ron Rivera, who's a defensive juggernaut of a coach. Man, it's going down for the Washington football team. So that being said, I mean, from the running game to almost all aspects really of the football coaching, I mean, and then you just see how the team rallied behind Coach Ron Rivera with his cancer diagnosis. This is a team that is in tune, that loves each other. They respect one another. They want to win, and they don't want another. They don't want this. I'm about to post up a picture on the screen right now. They don't want another division like this. You know, they don't want to be the fourth trash can. You know what I mean? They want to be competing for, hey, I'll just say it, a Lombardi trophy. That being said, I have them winning this division. I have them going 12-17. Oh, excuse me. 12-5 this year. Okay. So I have them getting 5 losses. They're going to shock the NFL. They're going to shock a lot of people. You're going to see out here people rocking the burgundy and white, man, and yellow, man. So 12 wins, 5 losses. Washington football team. That's what I got. So Mike Williams, what you got?
Yeah, man, I think they improved. They lost Ronald Darby, but they upgraded with William Jackson. They got Curtis Samuel, Adam Humphries, Ryan Fitzpatrick were their big offseason moves, and then their draft, man, they killed it. Jamin Davis, they got in the first round. I liked him. I thought that was a little bit of an overdraft, but I think in that system, he'll be a tackling machine. Samuel Cosme, I think their line was solid last year, but it was just great coaching. They didn't have the athletes to sustain that. So added him in there, I think was good. Benjamin St. Justice, Diami Brown. The only thing, 2 questions I have for this team, man, because they really don't have many holes, is they don't have a receiver that's just a 6'1", 6'2" kind of receiver. And you guys know, like, most teams are going to have at least a number one like that. Everybody on their team is shifty, fast, and their offense, I mean, they'll be able to run the ball, but they don't have anybody that could just go up and get the ball. You can't just go up and throw a fade, on a Jalen Ramsey or on a Marshawn Lattimore or on a, Pat Surtain, hopefully, or some of those guys. They don't have anybody, I think, that can just go up and get the ball. And I think
Terry McLaurin, man, I know he's not like a vertical guy, but man, he could go get the rock, man.
Terry McLaurin's a beast, and I know, we talk about Isaac all the time. Isaac is always like, man, I think you're underrating him. Hey, man, he's a phenomenal receiver, and again, adding adding Curtis Samuel, I think, is going to help free up some issues or free up some stuff for him. But he never in the red zone just went up and got the ball. That's what I'm saying, And Ryan Fitzpatrick, that's my other second question mark, right? I think if he's coming off the bench or as a bridge quarterback, phenomenal. If he's supposed to if you're counting on him to start the whole season and play at the level that he can play at the whole season, I think he hasn't shown that he can do that. So I think, even with all that being said, they're a phenomenally coached team. Ron Rivera is a hell of a coach. They got a lot of playmakers. That defense is going to be that is probably going to be the best defense in the NFL. Like that, I mean, if I had to pick one team as far as a solid defense, like that is a team that's going to make plays. Chase Young coming at you. Who they have on the other side? I forgot. Soup.
Montez Sweat.
Montez Sweat, Chase Young. Like, I mean, bro, like that team's going to be a nightmare. And then adding William Jackson to that. I think that's a significant upgrade over Ronald Darby, but man, I have them going 10-6 or no 10-6. No, 11-6 rather. My bad. I have them going 11-6, winning that division by a couple games. And I think if they get the quarterback for the future, they're going to be a problem for a long time.
Yeah, Mike, I tend to agree with you, man. I got them coming in a little bit lower. I got them at 10-7, but winning this division. And it's not even close, in large part due to that defense that we were talking about, because Chase Young is an absolute monster. He stays healthy, which, he hasn't indicated that he's going to have any health issues, but he stays healthy. The combination of him, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, and Deron Payne, like on that defensive front, is disgusting. William Jackson, absolute upgrade for them at the cornerback position. Landon Collins, he hasn't been the Landon Collins that he was when he went and got his payday coming from the Giants, but he's no slouch out there at safety either. Samuel Cosme, I think, is going to be an anchor for them for a long time to come. He's going to be a plug-and-play player. Scary Terry is an absolute threat on this ball field. He's quickly gaining a lot of respect, and he's scrappy and he's a fighter. When I see him, I see a young Antonio Brown. The difference is he doesn't have the quarterback to complement his skill set, because I do think that Scary Terry is a guy that can get behind these defenses, and I do think he has that strong hands. But you're right. When you go into those goal line situations and you're tossing up those, those corner fades and stuff like that, it is just going to be hard for him to physically outmuscle some of these longer, lankier, more physical corners that are going to be playing on him in those spots. But I do think that they'll find creative ways to work around that. Ryan Fitzpatrick as a bridge quarterback, I think is a good thing, but Kyle Allen is not the answer there. Neither is Fitzpatrick. Taylor Heineke, I liked what I saw from him in the playoffs. If he can build on that, and that's a big if, right? Because he hadn't seen really any play time before that. So if he can build on that, I think they might have something there. I won't go so far as to say that he's the guy of the future, but I do like the versatility that he brings with his legs. And he has shown that he has a decent arm on him. And even more than that, I think that playoff team, he really got a lot of support from the locker room. So I would like to see him get some playing time. I definitely think Rivera is going to wheel out Fitzpatrick to start, but this is a team that I believe is stacked from front to back on both sides of the ball, with the biggest question being the man under center, that's not the person that you want to have the question at, but they're extremely well coached. They play in, I'm going to say it is the weakest division in the entire NFC. It is the NFC least. They have that title for a reason until they start to prove otherwise. Washington is looking to separate themselves from that title. And I do think that this year they're going to put a lot of space between them and the competition. But like I said, I'm looking at the schedule. I'm looking at this roster. I'm liking what I see. I see no reason why these guys cannot win the division and lock in that playoff spot. So congratulations, Washington football team fans. You guys have something to be really, really excited about. God, I wish that Chase Young was wearing a Rams jersey.
Yeah, so last thing for me on this one, man, and because I kind of feel like people think I hate on Terry McLaurin or something like that, but I don't. I think this is the stuff that I look at, man. He's going to be, like you said, Antonio Brown, I think is a good comparison, except for he doesn't have the maturity issues, right? But he had 134 targets last year, 87 catches. He's caught since he's been in the league, about 61% of his passes thrown his way, and he has 11 touchdowns in 2 years. I get it, he is a baller. I think he has nowhere to go but up. I mean, he had 7 touchdowns this rookie year, 4 touchdowns last year. But, until they get an established quarterback, and I think if he had I think Curtis Samuel is going to help him a lot because, again, he was the main focus. But with that being said, man, that's my thing. I just think he's a baller, great in fantasy, all that. But I just think that, man, he's 25 years old and still in his rookie contract. He's a little bit older. So I don't know how much better he's going to get. Right, that's another thing people don't like to talk. People don't talk about. He was a rookie at 24 years old. He's 25 right now. He's 20. Actually, he'll be 26 this season. So it's he's 26 years old going into his 3rd season. How much higher is his potential compared to what it could be if he was, 23, 24? I don't know, right? And by the time they get a quarterback in there, he'll be 27, 28. So I just feel like, man, that's my only thing. Again, Washington football team fans and Isaac specifically. I know he's going to be in the comments, right? But it's not hating on him. Those are just questions I have. He's 6 foot tall. He's shown to be a competent receiver. He just hasn't shown to be able to get into the end zone like you want, and he doesn't catch all the passes he could if he was a bigger body receiver.
Right, and like I said, man, I agree with you 100%, and I think his potential is being capped by that quarterback position, because I don't think we'll ever get the true answer to how much better he could be unless he finds himself on another roster with a better quarterback or a better quarterback in-house. And like I said, that was the benefit, right? That was the benefit for Antonio Brown. Is Antonio Brown the same player? When we think of Antonio Brown, 84 on the Steelers, is he the same player if Ben Roethlisberger isn't under center? No. And I don't want to take away anything from Antonio because, right, he ultimately had to catch the ball, run the routes, do the jump, and everything like that, right? But he was helped. His potential was helped to be realized because he had a big arm quarterback that allowed him to do what he specializes in doing, and that is getting behind the defender, going up and getting the ball. They do not have that guy under center in Washington right now, unless that happens to be Taylor Heineke. I don't believe that that's Taylor Heineke, but the other two I've seen enough tape on to tell you it ain't them.
Well, hey, keep an eye out too. I wanted to mention this earlier. Diami Brown.
Yes,
he could be that final piece that needs to complete their wide receiver core. He could be, and then also as well, I want to add into it, man. If Fitzpatrick messes up, look out for Heineke to take over that position and hold on to that position the rest of the year. I'm excited to see what he does.
Also, no disrespect. I forgot to mention him because he definitely is worth mentioning. Antonio Gibson is an absolute problem at the running back position. He's a running back that is not talked about enough in this league. He is young. He is up and coming. And I think because of him, that offense is not going to struggle as much as it should because it's not going to be on the quarterback position to get it done. It's not going to be totally on that. He is going to provide a lot of balance for this team. And he is a guy that I am seeing only getting better. So yes, while there are some struggles under center, there's some questions. And while they're figuring that out, they do have, I think, the right guy in their backfield to anchor that and to help provide some balance and to kind of, take that defensive pressure off those guys under center and give them a lot more opportunities than what they would have had. So Antonio Gibson, I didn't forget you, Washington football team fans. I just want you to know, I see your boy. I think he's nasty. He's on his way. Probably he's getting up there, top 10 in the league at the running back position. And if he keeps going, he's going to make a push for that top 5 very, very soon.
I agree.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, you folks, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Adrian, Mike, y'all went super sand tonight. Y'all just hot takes left and right, man. Y'all went off, man. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And then for you guys, the fans, go ahead, comment below. I know we offended a lot of people. It's all good. We do it all the time. But hey, we always gonna give our unbiased truth, right? Sometimes the truth hurts, even if it's about my team, right? So, but you guys go ahead. Make sure you subscribe in the meantime because we do cover the entire NFL. So we have a lot of fun with it. Make sure you guys go hit that bell so anytime a new episode comes out, you get that alerts. You get those alerts. And other than that, have a great night. Thanks for watching Touchdown with Doug Smith. Peace.
Turn 100 for the touchdown, king crown, gain inside, leading your town, hit you faster than the sound, bad boy, throw it down, yeah, I'm ill, not my will, don't cop a fill the house, listen to the roaring crowd, drop a like, calm it down, Heisman, all the haters mouth, superhero hit them, wow, packing more action than bing, boom, bam, pow, touchdown for the win, we live, subscribe right now.